Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have a returning good brother to the temple, coming back for the first time in about 3 years. Previously here for the true OSR, the obsolete shitty rules, and now back with a fairy tale inspired affair known as On Your Own, which is why I had to put the title in quotes in the title for this. The one and only Alessandro Rivaroli. How you doing today, man?
Hi, everybody. Oh, well, the place is still very good. I feel cozy in your monastery.
I do my best to keep it maintained, but so now I with this kind of thing, there's two introductions that I feel have to be done. One for On Your Own, and the other for the TR engine, or the Tactical Resolution engine. So I'll start with that. I'll start with that one first. How did the idea of a named engine like this come to be?
Okay, well, glad you noticed the engine behind it, because we are already developing some hacks, some different hacks to it, because since many things can be done with the engine. Well, the idea was making a more tactical and cooperative engine for any task resolution, from combat tasks to diplomacy tasks, whatever, really. And to speed up that part in order to leave more space to interpretation, to the story development, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
That's mainly what inspired me to do that. And so I can tell it's those old time simulation video games, in which, like, war games, like I don't know if it was Civilization or something like that, where you just set up your troops, set up your tactics, push a button, and then it does everything by itself. You know?
Yeah, there a lot of 4X games do that. Some a bit more than others. Uh,
Yep.
obviously the exception to that sort of thing would be the likes of Heroes of Might and Magic, which has more of a traditional grid combat approach to its affair, and also is completely busted at times. But that's another story.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, I'm not very video game guy. I mean, I play one video game every 15 years, because if not, I'm getting totally destroyed by it. So it's better I keep off video games. So I only remember all time video games.
Yeah, but with it's funny you mentioned that particular simulation approach, because
Yeah.
that was a mindset that was certainly there at the early days, but I feel kind of burned itself out in the 90s with some of the much like the monster board games of the 70s burned themselves out so quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Mostly because people were essentially stacking things on things with a lot of
Uh,
those early simulation-y kind of affairs, and I'm talking about the likes of your
mhm.
um FGU Fantasy Games Unlimited. They've always been high up on the what not to do list. Oh, because
Yeah, sure.
or plenty of those games that had a skill list that was long enough to be a small book in and of itself. Oh,
Yeah, infinite, like infinite.
But it definitely but I definitely get the vibe that this is significantly more beginner friendly than a lot of games that would try and do full simulation. Because
Yeah, sure.
the simulation thing is more of a artifact of the war, not just the wargaming scene, but also the fact that a lot of people who were in that scene were like history buffs
Yeah.
in college.
When people refer to simulative role-playing games, everyone thinks about game where you really simulate every fine details of every action of every 6 second rounds of your life, of your character life.
Yeah, how
Well,
many 5 foot lengths of rope you got?
yeah, sure, those kind of things. So, this is, in my opinion, well, maybe the term simulative is not perfectly right for that. I would say those are mimetic games from mimesis,
Hmm.
which is a really copy every single aspect of real life, or they try to reproduce every single aspect of real life stuff. While simulation is some kind of stuff we're doing in on your own, which is you just set your combat, you declare what you want to do during the combat with your team, of course, because you're role playing with a team, with your party, and then you just couple dice roll, and you get your what comes up with your tactics, with the combat, whatever.
Yeah,
So that's a simulation, I would say.
yeah,
Just a cap dice roll to simulate a full combat.
yeah.
And on your own, I specifically focused on the fact that after those dice roll, you can retroactively rebuild what happened in details during that scene. Just if you want to, if you like to narrate those events in details, you can do it.
In a what really happened kind of way, like Rashomon.
I don't know that.
Uh, Rashomon or
But
Hero or The Usual Suspects are three movies I bring when it comes to the whole retroactively going into what happened. Since
yeah, sure.
those those particular films have the idea of the thing already happened. You're just seeing people go into what they believe happened, and in the case of Hero, more and more detail. It's a case of more lies by omission and just peeling back the layers to see the full extent of what led up to that point.
Yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
Something like that, I will say. And
Yeah.
that's what engine does. And that's what our engine does.
Mhm.
We applied it to on your own, since it's a game where there's only kids and kids need to cooperate a lot.
Mhm.
So we made it's a very specific hack for trending for this game, and it works perfectly. Since it's also quite easy for a very young public,
Mhm.
for beginners and so on.
Oh yeah. And give now I believe the core die mechanic is d6 based. So is this the case of rolling just a single die and messing with it? Is it a case of rolling a pool? How's the core mechanic going to be working?
Well, the core mechanics is quite easy. You just roll one or more d6. It depends on how much energy, which is your reserve pool,
Hmm.
you want to spend. You add your ability bonus, and perhaps you have some traits which gives you special abilities and so on.
Oh yeah.
Th- This is not very different from any other games. It's a very easy
Yeah.
mechanics, very easy to understand. But when it comes to solve a task, to a combat scene or something like that, that's when the the mechanics makes the difference. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, uh, mm, combat is the easiest way to explain this, to tell this. When a combat starts, you don't have to roll initiative, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to stop the narrative, and you and your party choose what you wanna do.
Mm-hmm.
What's the tactic you wanna use? Because every character has three or more tactics they can use. So, if they use tactics, they just need to spend a certain amount of energy points. They need to have a certain amount of ability points, something they can set way before starting the combat. So you can get there all set, and then you just need to know to choose how many points you want to spend, which tactics, and especially focusing on your position on the battle map.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you roll your dice, you and your friend, and the master will roll the dice for monsters, for whatever villain they're facing.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's one simple thing to do, which the master must do. So no math for the players almost. The master will have to make the difference in between the roles, the party role and the monster roles, and check out the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he, he must check out the outcome also, looking at the tactics table they use. So some tactics are very useful in a certain situation. For example, if you have the high ground, if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a forest or whatever situation,
Mm-hmm.
and some tactics are very useful against other tactics. Like, for example, combat tactics are the most easy to explain.
Mm-hmm.
There's some tactics that are historically being used in order to counter other combat tactics, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Some minutes of combat in game will be resolved in very few minutes in real life. So the most time will be spent choosing which tactics to use,
Oh yeah.
not rolling.
Yeah. Which I suppose fits right in with the working together motif that the game is trying to emphasize within on your own.
Yeah.
Now, with that in mind, I think one of the other things I noticed that you are doing that is going to be a bit different is instead of a unified experience point setup, you have it split between responsibility and fantasy.
Yeah, that's another specific mechanic. That's not from Transgene. That's from on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And there are two kinds of experience points here, which is, as you said, responsibility and fantasy, which represent in some way the two aspects of oneself. Everyone has to face growing up. I mean, you can stick to being a kid, something that all nerds tends to have, or you can go full responsible and think like an adult, forgetting all your games, toys, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the moral is the right way to live is to balance in between these two things. And this is why in this game, if you earn too many responsibility token, you're gonna experience point, you're gonna grow up literally and get translated in another world. Uh, while if you gather too many fantasy experience point, well, you're gonna transform slowly, turn into a fantasy monster or fantasy creature, which is completely detached from humanity. Uh, so it's a fable-like way to narrate, to tell this growing up thing, you know.
Which I can certainly get that. And
Something like out of a fairy tale, you know.
yeah, which a lot of what On Your Own is not far removed from a lot of different fairy tales. Now,
Yeah.
with that in mind, uh, given the setup that the game is going for, would it be fair of me to say that instead of writing instead of writing a setting like a full on world, this is more about writing a theme that you could place settlements of the like wherever the table wished. Essentially, more of a vibe than a
Sure.
setting.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. We wanted to bring this a very specific theme to any classic fantasy world you can imagine, which is, what if one day all adults disappear suddenly and only kids are left? Of course, we put some lore in it. We will detail some stuff, but yet the main point is try to read this growing up thing by using the fantasy world metaphor. And there are so many really interesting facts like to the fantasy world that we want to inspect. Like, for example, how can a human child, a human kid, 9 years old, can behave with a 100-year-old health kid? You know, there will be some issues. There will be some very specific points and things that are usually not represented very much into classic fantasy role-playing games. You know.
I mean, with a lot of classic fantasy games, there's the assumption that characters are adult adventurers who even at first level have been at it for some amount of time.
Yeah, sure.
And that's not exactly the case here for obvious reasons. I think
No,
I think the closest
no, they were.
I think the closest parallel I can think of to this kind of thing, and isn't doing it in the exact same way, was Kid World, which didn't have it that the adults disappeared; they just all went blind.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of that. Never seen something like that in a very fantasy world. I've seen Grimm from Chaosium or Modifius, can't remember. Which is
if it's the one I'm thinking of, that was an early Fantasy Flight project. I'm not sure who has it now.
Oh yeah, sure. Fantasy Flight. You're right. And yeah, sure. It was about fairy tales. It was about Peter Pan, so lost kids and stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to get really into a very classical fantasy world that everyone already knows. So there's trolls, there's dragons, there's what everyone knows. But see how kids alone will thrive in such a setting on their own.
Oh yeah, and of course, hence the name. But within the format section of the preview, it talks about building around small modules. So would it be fair to say that one of the things you're planning is small micro adventures that are used as a kind of sandbox?
Yeah, sure. And also, one of the module will be on their own, which is the adult nature version of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, all the ads went disappearing, but where they ended up? They ended up in a parallel world where only adults are. And so no kids, nobody can reproduce, so there's no future for that world.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to get back to normal is to find a way to get your kids back from your own world, of course.
Yeah.
And in this setting, which is very specific for an adult audience, we will see these all these thematics under a very adult-oriented point of view. I don't know. There's I don't know if it's got a name, but in Japan anime, there's this theme which is like the anime Made in Abyss, you know?
Yeah.
Where there's kids which suffer terribly all the time, and it's an horror genre, which is, and we want to do it like that.
Oh yeah, I can certainly get it.
Yeah, sure. So there will be mutilation. There will be all those bad things that there won't be in the everyone targeted version of the game, of course. Psychology, and we will also we will also improve some of the trenching rules in that. I mean, we will add more details for pro player. I would say for pro player.
Oh yeah. I can certainly get that, and I did notice that in both the SRD for the TR engine and in the quick start for On Your Own, you have this thing of maps that are segmented in a way that, in a roundabout way, reminds me of a segmented map that I'd see in certain thematic board games. Is that going to be the case with most of the modules?
Yeah. Every module will feature maps, and the whole game pack that we're gonna sell via Kickstarter and later on will be available in stores. Will feature also a small generic map pack, forests, mountains, deserts, and so on. So you can have some tents ready for every situation you want set up. And maps are very important in this game, since the name itself, Tactical Resolution Engine, tells that tactics is really important. So it's more important to choose the tactic you want to use, how many and which points you want to spend, and what is your position on the map when action comes, you know. Yet maps don't have to be don't have to feature many details. They just need to be quite generic, and as you said, divided, split into areas, into generic areas. So it's not, once again, you don't have to mimic every inch of movement of your character on the map, just area movements, you know.
Which
everyone can make his own very easily.
Mhm. And I think that is a way that is more fitting here, since you don't since
Yep.
in something like this, tracking uh, movement by feet or meters would be a bit redundant.
Yeah, sure. There's no movement statistic on on the character sheet too, so no need to get that. Maybe you can get a special ability which tells you, okay, you travel very fast. You get half time for long term movement.
Yeah.
For journeys. Just like that, very easy for even the map thing is literally for everyone,
Mhm.
so everyone can take a map, split it into areas. The master just have to note what's in that area, like for
Mhm.
example difficult terrain or coverage. Maybe because of you're in a forest, so you get coverage from distant attacks, and
Mhm.
so on. And so the preparation is quite important, but once again, the pre-made adventures have everything done in it.
Oh yeah. Now, I know the plan is to separate it into different smaller books, but what would you say would be the combined page count you're looking at, combining the rules and all of the modules you've got planned for the Kickstarter?
For each module, it would be like 50, 60 pages maximum per module. So there would be five modules for
Mm-hmm.
the base game,
Mm-hmm.
and we made specifically to for handling reason. I mean, you as a player, you don't have to have all the rules in your hand while you're playing. Just need a small module, 50 pages, which contains everything you need to know as a player. Same goes for the master, same goes for the maps, the adventures, and so on.
Mm-hmm. I can get that. Now, the Kickstarter is not launched yet. When do you plan on doing the launch date?
Yeah, we planned it by the end of July, so it's very near. So also the advertising will start very soon, probably next week, and we are very excited for it since um, also, for example, we translated, we sold OSR, the true OSR, to Russia, to
Mm-hmm.
US, and many other places,
Mm-hmm.
and they're already looking for On Your Own, since the idea is uh, everyone liked the idea behind it.
Mm-hmm. And I will
And there
certainly.
will be a lot of, of course,
Yeah.
as always,
Oh yeah.
during the Kickstarter.
And I will certainly be looking forward to that. But with
Yeah,
but with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my monastery.
it's always a pleasure.
And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open. As I often say around here,
Thank you very much.
drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged.
Mhm.
And of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there'll be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra, I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody!
我不自义，我不自恋，不破碎。